Okay, my Young and the Restless fans, we got another episode to talk about. We have Lily sounding off with Daniel regarding Billy. We also have Devon flipping out at Nate for asking questions about his breakup with Amanda. And Chelsea apologizes to Billy for drugging and gRaping him. Welcome back to CBS Soap Dish Recap, where we recap everything CBS soaps, both the Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful. This is your Young and the Restless recap for December 13th. And without any further ado, let's talk about today's episode. So we start out over at Society, where we see Lily telling Daniel that she's fine, but he realizes that that's not the case. Now, she claims that there is a law against talking about current relationship issues with an ex. Now, Daniel promises to forget the whole conversation as though it never happened. They may be exes, but they are also friends. Now, Lily admits that she feels like she's losing Billy, and it feels like something has changed. Now, Daniel wonders if this is something to do with the Abbott's destructive habits. Now, Lily isn't sure. She knows that Billy is helping someone have a hard time, and that help has excluded everything else, and she called it a weird dependency. Now, Daniel says that it sounds like she's being left on the back burner. Now, she feels like she's oversharing, but admits that Billy is everything you could want in a partner. And Daniel was like, well, until he isn't. And then he listed a few of his flaws and asked, is he falling into old patterns? And Lily actually agreed, that's what she is suspecting. Now, Daniel assures her that none of this is her fault, and he and Lily aren't losing each other. She's just being too nice. Now, Billy's choices just aren't compatible with the long term, and she waves her hands around saying, oh, that's awful. And then Daniel then suggests that maybe Billy is just more noble than anyone has ever given him credit for. Now, Lily worries that Billy has white knight syndrome and enjoys being the good guy too much. And Daniel tells her how smart and thoughtful she is, but Billy is Billy, and he cannot be changed. Now, Lily is happy that they've been able to maintain their friendship so she can share things like this with him. Now, in spite of how frustrated she's been, she wants to believe that this is just a rough patch, and she will work through all of this with Billy. Daniel, however, wishes her all the happiness in the world. Now, speaking of Billy, let's head over to Chelsea's apartment, where we see Billy assuring Chelsea that there's nothing to make amends for. Now, Chelsea insists they both know that's not true. Now, he's not even sure what she's talking about. Now, Chelsea makes it clear that she's talking about when she gave him no choice on the night Johnny was conceived. Now, he sighs, and he don't understand the point of, bringing up ancient history. Now, Chelsea feels that she needs to take accountability because what she did was wrong. Now, after Billy sighs again, he sits down with her but remains reluctant to discuss what happened. Now, she says that at that time she thought it was a crazy night that went too far, but now she realizes that it was wrong and non-consensual since he was high out of his mind. And she reminded him that she rugged him and he didn't consent. Now, when Billy claims that he used to just like walking on the wild side, she insists, wait a minute, you making excuses, so she won't have to face it. Now, Billy admits that he doesn't remember anything, but his son was created that night and he loves him. And because of him, he wouldn't change a thing. But if anything like that ever happened to him, he says, yes, she knows, and tells him how sorry she is. Now, Chelsea tells him what is a release that this has been. He says that it's important that they all move on, and he's sure that she wouldn't do the same thing again, and commends her bravery for taking responsibility and accountability for her actions. Now, she's not going to ask for forgiveness, but she is raising Connor to be a better person than she is. And she's grateful for how kind Billy has been, and it's more than what she thinks she deserves. So now let's head over to Newman Media, because in Nate's office we find that he and Victoria are going over the plans for their business trip. And Victoria tells him everyone in the company is looking forward to meeting him. So he starts going in on the fact that he set up a meeting with a K-pop star to see if they have a vibe with him. Now, when he adds that Elena is trying to adjust things to make the trip, Victoria wonders if that's wise. But then, all of a sudden, she sends a text message to Nate saying that she can't come. And then all of a sudden, we also had an interruption. It's Devon. Now, Devon had the nerve to interrupt their meeting to demand to speak to Nate alone. Nate points out, yes, that they're in a meeting, but Victoria was like, you know what, it's fine, and she took off. Now, Devon tells Nate that whatever happened with Amanda is none of his business, and he has no right getting involved. And he knows because he asked Imani about them. Now, Nate claims that he was just curious, and Devon tells him, you need to just let it go. What in the world could you have done to mess things up with Amanda is what Nate is wondering. And he squints and he repeats the question, and Devon wonders, why are you so interested? He repeats he has no right to ask him about anything in his life. Now, Nate is recalling how much Amanda wanted to make peace with them before things abruptly ended for their couple, especially when she walked in on Abby and Nate. Now, Devon remains defensive, and he's annoyed that he is just so interested in his business. Now, Nate assumes that he had some mistakes of his own to answer for, given how evasive he's being. Now, he tells his cousin, that he apologizes, but Devon says that doesn't erase anything. Now, Nate accuses him of not having the guts to own up to whatever he did to Amanda. They rehash how they don't owe each other anything, and Nate tells him not to show up to his office there again, and Devon tells him to stay out of his life. So now let's head over to Crimson Lights, because Connor shows up and complains to Sharon about how school was. Now, she'd make him recite a fact before she would serve him up some hot chocolate. Johnny shows up to talk about algae, and they both get hot chocolate together. Now, after the kids wander off to talk about video games, Chance arrives, and now he's ordering some coffee. Now, Sharon starts to talk and ask about Abby, and he explains that, I've been busy settling into my new place. Now, Sharon offers to be his sounding board again, and as she serves him coffee, they admire how well Johnny and Connor are getting along. Now, Sharon says that they can learn a lot from children. They chat about how he can deal with things, and Sharon suggests boxing, but he'd rather talk to her. Now, he's worried about Dom undergoing so many changes, and Sharon says things will get easier in time and everybody will move on. Now, Chance wanted things to be a little less complicated for his son than it was for him. He feels like he failed, and Sharon suggests that Dom could benefit from having such a non-traditional family, and is sure adults can be just as resilient as kids. Now, Chance knows that wallowing is not the answer to his problems, and when she suggests that they ask the boys why they're smiling so much, he tells her he can't handle watching any of those dance videos. Meanwhile, we got Connor and Johnny talking about games and how their moms make sure that they're always age appropriate. They complain that they won't let them play until they're done with their homework. Connor can handle it when she's bossy because she's been gone so much, and then Chance and Sharon join the kids who explain the game to them. So finally, over at Devon's penthouse, we see Abby bringing Dom over since it was too cold in the park. And they getting cozy with his stuff lying. I just found it interesting. She got a key to his apartment or his penthouse and let herself in. Abby promises that everything will be okay with Chance gone. And as they look at family photos, she explains who everyone is. She says that Grandpa Neil and Victor were great friends, just like her and Devon. And then we did get to see a flashback as she's flashing back to having sex with Devon and then sits on the steps with her son. Abby apologizes for how weird things have been, but they were weird before he was born too. And she talks about how she had a second dad named Brad, as we now know is Dollar Bill Spencer on The Bold and the Beautiful, and he was wonderful. And there will always a lot of people invested in making things good, and that's how they will be for him as well. Okay, so there you have it, your Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. Stay tuned for the Bold and the Beautiful recap also for today. And until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.